You think you can mouth off to an officer and just walk away. Huh? The sound hit like a gunshot. Cold metal, skin against steel, and the quiet gasp of a crowd that didn't know whether to intervene or look away. It was supposed to be a normal morning outside Lincoln High. Instead, it became a public humiliation. At the edge of a busy downtown street, right outside Crescent Hill High, a 16-year-old girl stood trembling beside a squad car. Her backpack hung half open, notebooks scattered on the pavement, and a uniformed officer stood inches from her face. Officer Harlan Pierce, 20 years on the force, a man too used to power, and far too eager to remind others he had it. Oh, so this is how it works now? You get loud, talk back, then cry racism? Is that the new playbook, sweetheart? Her name was Zara Miles, honor roll student, debate team finalist. The kind of girl who called adults sir and ma'am, even when they didn't deserve it. But right now, she couldn't find any words at all. You think being articulate makes you special? Let me guess, your mom's a lawyer. Huh? Or maybe special forces? His voice dripped with something darker than sarcasm. The confidence of a man who thought he owned the moment. Students gathered around, phones lifted high. Someone whispered, she didn't even do anything. Another, he shoved her first. But no one moved. Zara's lip quivered as she blinked back tears. The metal cuffs pressed into her skin. Her backpack lay face down in a puddle. The name Zara, written in purple marker, slowly blurring. You think attitude gets you somewhere, kid? Next time you want to mouth off, remember this feeling. You wanted attention. Now you've got a whole audience. He turned toward the crowd, a smirk curling at the edge of his mouth. Record all you want. Your little social media stunt won't save her from resisting arrest. I didn't resist. I just asked why you grabbed me. Quiet. The sound made everyone flinch. It wasn't a hit. Not yet, but it was a warning. And Zara understood it. She looked down. Her breath came out shallow, trembling. One of her teachers, Mr. Laird, stepped forward cautiously. Officer, maybe there's been a misunderstanding. She's one of my students, and... Step back, sir. Unless you want to obstruct an officer in the line of duty. But she's just a kid. Back. Now. It was chaos wrapped in control, a performance designed to humiliate. Zara wasn't being arrested for theft or violence or drugs. Her crime was asking why she was being searched. And that question, spoken calmly but confidently, was what Pierce called talking back. The moment replayed in every recording. He grabbed her wrist. She stepped away. He called for backup. And before she could blink, cold cuffs snapped shut. You're hurting me. Then stop resisting. He said it again, as if saying it made it true. Minutes stretched like hours. Zara stood there, motionless, while Officer Pierce spoke into his radio. Each word was deliberate, rehearsed, the kind of report that rewrites the story before anyone else can. Suspect detained. Disorderly conduct. Verbal aggression toward an officer. Requesting transport to Precinct 2. The words landed like stones. Each one stripping away her humanity, turning a frightened teenager into a suspect. Somewhere in the background, someone muttered, she's going to call her mom. Pierce chuckled. Oh yeah? Can't wait to meet her. What's she going to do, yell at me? File a complaint? You people love doing that, don't you? Students gasp. A phone camera zooms in. Someone whispers, he did not just say that. There was the shift. The cruelty he'd been hinting at. And everyone watching knew it. Zara closed her eyes, not to cry, but to hold herself still. Her silence made him angrier. Look at me when I talk to you. No. What was that? I said no. The crowd's murmur deepens, phones capturing every second. It was only one word, but it carried the weight of centuries. And in that single word, something shifted, not in him, but around him, because that's when the unmarked black SUV rolled to a stop at the curb. The engine shuts off. Doors open. The low click of polished heels on asphalt. At first, no one paid attention. The officer didn't even look up. He was too busy proving his point. But Zara's head turned, because she recognized that sound. Her mother never walked. She arrived. Out of the SUV stepped Dr. Elaine Rivers, tall, still, wearing a Navy suit that didn't shout wealth or power, but something quieter. Something earned. She said nothing. Not yet. The crowd quiets. even if phones lower a bit. Zara exhaled, just once, like her lungs had been waiting for that breath. Whoever you are, ma'am, step back. We're handling official police business. Are you? Her tone wasn't loud, but it froze the air. No one could explain why. Only that she spoke the way people do when they don't ask for authority. They are authorities. Pierce glanced over his shoulder. His smirk returned. Your mom? Figures. Listen, she was being combative. Take off those cuffs. Excuse me? You heard me. No shouting. No anger. Just precision. The kind of voice that made people stop talking before they realized they had. Pierce squared his shoulders. Ma'am, if you interfere with a lawful arrest, I'll... Lawful? Is that what you call this? A quiet breeze. The distant sound of a car horn. She stepped closer, slow, deliberate, and with each step, the crowd's noise thinned. Pierce's face twitched. Something about her expression, the absolute calm of it, made him take half a step back without meaning to. Ma'am, I don't know who you think you. Name. What? Your name, officer. Say it clearly for the cameras. Several phones began recording again. A ripple went through the crowd. Someone whispered, she's not playing. Pierce hesitated, then forced a laugh. You think that's going to scare me? No, but the call I'm about to make might. Her hand went to her jacket pocket, slow, smooth, not for a weapon, for a phone. Ma'am, don't reach into your... Relax, officer. If I wanted to harm you, you'd know. The line landed like a brick dropped in water, and the silence afterward was deafening. Phones clicking. Someone whispers, who is she? Pierce swallowed hard. He tried to recover, to sound official again. Your daughter assaulted an officer. False. And resisted. Also false. Each interruption was surgical, precise enough to wound his authority without raising her voice. She turned slightly toward her daughter. Zara, did you raise your hands at him? No, ma'am. Did you strike him, threaten him, or attempt to flee? No. I just asked why he was searching my bag. Good. Don't speak again. That wasn't a rebuke. It was protection. Pierce's jaw tightened. Ma'am, you can't just waltz in here like you own the place. I don't. But I do own the jurisdiction over your next 10 minutes. He blinked. Something clicked. The crowd sensed it too. This wasn't just a mother. This was someone he should have known. His voice dropped half a pitch. And who exactly are you? Call your watch commander. Tell him Dr. Elaine Rivers is here. Then step aside. The name hung in the air. No one recognized it. Not the students, not even Mr. Laird. But Pierce did, because the color drained from his face almost instantly. The soft rustle of uniforms. When the backup officer steps forward. Sir, she's on the city oversight board. That's not possible. It is. And you have exactly 3 seconds to remove those cuffs before I make a call you'll regret. Handcuffs unlatching. A sharp metallic click. And just like that, the sound that began the story ended it. The cuffs fell away. Zara rubbed her wrists, tears finally spilling over. Dr. Rivers placed a hand on her shoulder, steady, grounding. Go wait in the car. But now, Zara's footsteps are retreating. The car door shuts, and when the child was safe, the mother turned. Her voice changed again. No warmth left, no hesitation. Only command. Officer Pierce, you. And I'm going to talk about the difference between authority and abuse. Phones click faster. The crowd draws in. What came next would echo through the department for months. But in that moment, the world held its breath, watching one man realize he had picked the wrong target. And before he could form another word, you want to put that radio down before you embarrass yourself further. Radio drops onto the hood with a soft thud. For the first time, Officer Pierce looked small, and the crowd, the same one that had been afraid to speak, stood taller. Because justice had just arrived. But that was only the beginning. Because by the time the precinct learned who Dr. Rivers really was, this incident would no longer be a street confrontation, it would be a reckoning. The heavy thud of the radio hitting the hood. The hum of the crowd rises again. Officer Pierce's hand hovered in the air, empty, trembling. He didn't know whether to pick the radio back up or raise it in surrender. Dr. Elaine Rivers didn't move. She didn't need to. Authority radiated from her like heat. You detained a minor without probable cause. You used unnecessary physical restraint. You falsified a radio report, and you did all of it on camera. You don't know the full. I know the law, and I know the procedure. She stepped closer, her shoes clicking against the asphalt like a metronome, counting down his career. Title 42, Section 1983, Deprivation of Rights under color of law. Section 2803.2, Unlawful detention of a minor without cause. And that's just the first page, officer. Phone recording. Whispers ripple through the onlookers. Each statute fell like a hammer. This wasn't rage. This was prosecution. You failed to identify reasonable suspicion. You conducted an unwarranted search. You escalated verbal dialogue into physical intimidation. You misused the term resisting arrest. And you made racially charged remarks in the presence of witnesses. Now hold on. No, you hold on. Because every word you say from this point forward will be reviewed by Internal Affairs and the Civilian Oversight Board, both of which report directly to me. His lips parted, but nothing came out. He understood now. This wasn't a mother defending her daughter. This was a commander reading charges before the execution of duty. Nearby officers' footsteps. A second officer, nervous, whispers, "Ma'am, maybe we should all head to the precinct and sort this." Excellent idea. Because we're not finished. The crowd parted as she gestured toward the waiting SUV. She didn't shout orders. She issued instructions. And people obeyed without thinking. Within 30 minutes, the scene shifted from the street to the sterile cold of Crescent Hill Precinct. Zara sat quietly in the corner, her hands folded, wrists still red. Dr. Rivers stood before the duty sergeant's desk. Her tone was no different than before, but her words now carried official weight. "Dr. Rivers, we didn't realize. That's the problem, isn't it? You never realize until the cameras are rolling." She laid a folder on the desk, thick, tabbed, color-coded. Inside are 15 complaints filed against Officer Pierce in the last 3 years. 5 for use of excessive force. 3 for harassment. 2 for falsifying incident reports. All resolved internally. Explain that. Papers shifting, the sergeant's breath catching. I'll have to speak to the captain. You'll do more than that. You'll start recording this conversation, now. The sergeant blinked, then reached for his body cam, turning it toward her. Click. The red light blinked on. State your name, rank, and position. Sergeant William Hensley, duty supervisor. Good. Now confirm. This minor was detained without a warrant, without parental consent, and without cause. Yes, ma'am. And confirm that the officer responsible failed to read her Miranda rights prior to restraint. Yes, ma'am. The room went silent except for the soft hum of the recording device. Zara watched, wide-eyed. The same woman who'd once packed her school lunches now dismantling an entire system with words sharper than any blade. Under Section 14 to 221 of the City Charter, this department is subject to immediate external audit for misconduct under public demand. I'm filing that demand right now. Pen scratching on paper. Faint murmurs from other officers. And for the record, I am doing so not as Dr. Elaine Rivers, Oversight Board Chair, but as a mother of a black child who deserves to walk home without fear of being hunted by the people paid to protect her. It wasn't shouted. It was spoken like a prayer, the kind meant to wake a nation. Someone in the back whispered, "It's live." A live stream had begun. One of the students had uploaded the footage, the arrest, the confrontation, the arrival. Within minutes, thousands were watching. And now millions. Notification pings rising faintly in the background, as if from phones around the precinct. The internet turned the station into a stage. Comments scrolled faster than anyone could read. Protect that woman. Fire the cop. That's how accountability looks. And through it all, Dr. Rivers never once looked at a camera. Her focus was solely on the man who started it all. Pierce sat slumped in a chair, the weight of realization pressing heavier than the vest he wore. Officer Pierce, by detaining a minor without cause, you violated the Fourth Amendment. By using physical intimidation, you violated Departmental Policy 7A. By falsifying your report, you committed a federal offense. And by using racially charged language during detainment, you violated Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Her voice echoing slightly in the tiled room, like a courtroom. You will surrender your badge and sidearm until an independent review is complete. Effective immediately. You can't. I already did. The badge hit the table with a hollow clang. It sounded like the end of something. The sergeant swallowed, unsure whether to intervene or salute. Dr. Rivers, this kind of action usually goes through the captains. Then call your captain. He'll want to see this anyway. Within minutes, the precinct commander arrived, pale, tight-lipped. He recognized her instantly. The conversation that followed didn't last long. When it ended, Pierce's nameplate was gone from his uniform. But Dr. Rivers wasn't done. She turned to the live stream camera, not to grandstand, but to educate. This isn't about one bad officer. It's about the structure that shields them. Every unchecked report, every closed investigation, every silence that costs someone their dignity. Her voice carried both fury and discipline. The tone of someone who'd seen too much injustice to waste emotion on it anymore. To every young person watching, record, document, ask questions, demand names. Because truth, when seen, changes power. Keyboard clicking, reporters beginning to type. Outside, journalists had already gathered. Camera lights flickered through the blinds. And Zara, the girl once cuffed in public, now stood beside her mother, her posture straight, her eyes dry. Mom, are they going to listen? They already are. It was the first smile of the day. Small, but real. News clips, faint overlapping voices, breaking story, officer suspended, civilian oversight board reforms. By nightfall, the footage had reached every major network. A single video, one girl, one cop, one mother, had set off a chain reaction. Within a week, the city council convened an emergency hearing. Within a month, new legislation passed, the Miles Act, named after Zara, mandating that every school zone arrest of a minor be accompanied by verified justification, parental notification, and third-party review within 24 hours. Applause in a legislative chamber. Officer Pierce was dismissed pending criminal investigation. But that wasn't the victory. The real victory was systemic. The law that once silenced became the law that is now protected. Accountability is not revenge. It's a reform. We do not seek to destroy our institutions. We seek to rebuild them strong enough to hold all of us. Her words replayed on every news channel, her calmness now legend. For Zara, the transformation came quietly. She went back to school the next week. No cameras, no interviews, just whispers in the hallway. But this time, they weren't about her shame. They were about her courage. She'd become a symbol, not because she fought, but because she stood still when the world expected her to break. Teachers used her story in civics lessons. Her name appeared in editorials beside words like dignity, justice, and change. And Dr. Rivers? She didn't stop. She launched a national initiative, the Truth Watch program, training parents and teens on legal literacy and police rights. Knowledge is our armor. Discipline is our weapon. And truth is our liberation. Her voice became the anthem of a movement. Fade into the crowd, chanting softly, "Justice for Zara. Justice for all." Officer Pierce faced trial. The evidence was overwhelming. But in her final testimony, Dr. Rivers said something no one expected. "I don't hate you, Officer Pierce. I pity the system that made you believe power meant domination. What I want is transformation, not vengeance." Even the judge paused, because forgiveness, in the presence of victory, is the purest kind of power. Pierce was sentenced to community reform service, required to attend every session of the training initiative he once mocked. It was poetic, not revenge. Redemption through awareness. Wind rustling leaves. A school bell in the distance. Months later, on a warm spring morning, Zara stood at a podium at her school assembly. She looked older somehow, not in age but in gravity. When injustice happens, silence helps the wrong side. If I learned anything that day, it's this: power is just a tool. It becomes good or evil by the hands that hold it. Applause. Some students cheer. She spoke not as a victim, but as a voice. The viral Crescent Hill incident has inspired new national dialogue about police accountability. It's not just about race. It's about culture, the courage to challenge authority the right way. That mom? She taught me what power with purpose looks like. The story became more than theirs. It became ours. Every city has its shadows. Every system has flaws. But sometimes, justice doesn't roar. It walks in quietly, in a navy suit, and changes the air just by standing still. Zara's story began with handcuffs. It ended with a law, one that ensures no other child will face what she did. But the question remains, when you see injustice, will you watch or will you stand? Because sometimes the most powerful revolution starts with a single calm voice saying, no.